Kira.
Hi, Milana.
I'm Beverly.
Well, all together.
I heard for all the patterns.
Hi, I'm Sophie.
Hi, I'm Sam.
Hey, I'm AJ and we're Gender Choice.
Hi, my name is Amy Montgomery. I am a singer, songwriter and performer from Lisburn.
Hi, I'm Jake McCrea. I play and write on the Moonland in Belfast.
Hey there, I'm Matt and I'm the drummer of Valiant.
I'm David and I'm the bass player of Valiant.
Hello, my name's Keelan and I'm the singer of Valiant.
Hi, my name's Ben and I am the guitar player in Valiant.
The name? It was a joke in a WhatsApp group. We always wore kind of clashing patterns and had pretty eccentric tastes in fashion. And then it was also kind of just like a double entendre of like the problem patterns that we see in society that are like replicated all the time. So it worked out well. But it really was just a fashion joke.
We stole that from a Little Tigger song.
We met in Belfast,
Yeah. We went through tech. Dave and I were in level 2 before Matt and Ben joined. Actually, I think Matt was in level 3.
I was in level 3, I was higher than you, so
and then
always.
second year, Ben and Dave ended up in the same class and they clicked, they meshed quite well. And then they were looking for a singer and Dave suggested me. And then after a wee while, I think Ben reached out to Matt and we ended up recruiting him.
Yeah, me and Dave both reached out to Matt. We just asked him, walked up and asked him to be our drummer.
And it was great.
I played earlier that day on the drums, really poorly, and I remember being like, shit, we're going to ask Matt here to play with us and it's going to be really embarrassing because he's going to be like, definitely not. And
really? Yeah.
Why would I say no, Dave?
I don't know, I felt like...
Because you thought we were gimps pretty much?
Yeah.
No,
that's true.
We thought Matt was cool and then...
We found out otherwise.
Yeah.
So, Soph and I met in tech, and then AJ came to tech shortly after.
Yeah.
Soph and I at the start were just programming drums. Well, Soph was programming drums, and we were like singing and playing guitar over the top of that. And then it was like just a couple of months before our first sort of live gig that AJ came to like have a listen and ended up like drumming along. We were like, sounds nice. The genre that I would call my music is alt rock with a positive message, which maybe sounds a little bit strange, but I just feel like alt rock without the depth of meaning doesn't really define my music as much as it should. But I know that a lot of people would describe my music as blues, rock, alt rock, and even sometimes folk, depending on where and what I'm doing, you know.
I would say Moonland ties together quite a few genres. It's quite a dramatic. It's probably just alternative overall, very dramatic, big arrangements, the strings, and very, very melodramatic, too much over the top.
Yeah, we've been going with like feminist punk, queer punk, like those are the kind of, tonally, but at the very core of the music that we make, I guess punk. We don't really ever veer off that, because punk is a lifestyle, not a sound.
Punk is about having more fun with the music rather than being like, oh, I need to play this.
Yeah, punk's the way that you approach it. Yeah.
Dare I say punk? Punk rock,
Punk
sort
is
of.
probably the best genre.
Yeah.
We started off being heavily influenced by sort of like Riot Girl in the 90s, and then kind of started to draw on because we all listened to like such different music, so starting to kind of like draw on influences from our own kind of like listening catalogue.
We consider ourselves officially funk rock in terms of genre, but then it never like, it obviously never sticks to it. It's even like quite rare that we actually do play funk rock.
Yeah.
You know, there's like elements of indie rock, there's elements of heavier stuff. And I don't know, I think like, me and Matt would probably bring more, or certainly I would bring more of an indie kind of feel, and Matt as well. And Dave and Ben would certainly bring more of a group. I don't know, like the three of us probably would like bring a...
We're a mix of everything, you know.
In Belfast, my favourite venue, I would say it's the Limelight to play. My favourite venue to go and watch a gig. I like the Ulster Sports Club to watch gigs. It's there's enough like gritty rock feel to that venue. within keeping like with good production of the show as well, you know.
I think my favourite venue is the Ulster Sports Club because I love, you know, the backdrop.
No, to be fair, yeah, the backdrop in the Ulster Sports Club is really retro.
Yeah.
I do like playing there, and it's a good size as well. Like it's nice and intimate sort of thing. But I suppose as well, we just sort of have to mention OES Centre just because
of course. Yeah.
they helped us a lot whenever we were starting out, and it's always like a homecoming when you play there. So it's always very safe, like nice vibes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The stage setup is really important because we flop about all the time, and like, you know, sometimes if you're like really cramped onto the stage, you're kind of, because we played in the window of a record store once, and I fell into the window because we were so cramped, which I actually like that too because it's kind of fun, but I quite like Black Box is probably the best like overall.
Yeah, and Black Box also came to our rescue when we had our EP launch because it was meant to be in another venue, and like that day we were told that we couldn't do it there, and then Kira was calling around all day, and then Black Box thankfully got back to us, and we called it an upgrade, but it was actually because the other venue was available. But to be fair, we ended up selling more tickets because we had moved to there. But yeah, they really came through for us, and they've always been so like hospitable, and looked after us.
My favourite venue to play is probably McHugh's. I'm a big fan of McHugh's. It's the basement is a little sweat box, and it's really nice to get a lot of people in, get it. Very intimate. I like that the stage is the same level as the crowd as well. I think it's very nice, intimate. Makes for a nice intimate venue.
Well, my favourite venue to play is friggin' Voodoo. Yeah. No. Voodoo was good. I don't know. I enjoyed Voodoo. Voodoo was a good venue.
It's great.
We like the Sunflower, obviously, because we try and do an acoustic gig there every year.
Yeah, there's something so lovely about like the vibe of the Sunflower upstairs.
It's intimate.
It works really well.
Yeah.
But I really like playing Speakeasy at the minute, like just because everyone is like, because the pints are cheap and everyone loves the Speakeasy, like, you know.
We had such a good experience there because we sold it out, and like obviously that's gonna live large in our memory, but it's not gonna. I don't know.
It's a good party spot.
Yeah, I think if we filled out the Empire, we would say hands down, the Empire is the best place.
My band and I rehearse in Tree Song Studios, which is in Hillsborough. And that's also the studio in which I record all of my music with Michael Mormika. So yeah, we would practice there or wherever is handy. You know, if we're touring, obviously the practice will happen on the road. But yeah, mostly in Tree Song Studios.
We rehearse at Blacksmith Mill and OES Centre. Depends. We were really, really busy right now, so the OES Centre is really handy because it's the city centre. But we do pay for a room in Blackstaff Mill as well, which is better for like writing. Like if you need to go in there for like a good long time, it's good to write in there. OES Centre is good for like rehearsing your set. So we spread our rehearsal wings all over the city.
And we share the space with Junk Drawer as well, so we get to use their amps.
Yeah, they've got good gear, so thanks, Junk Drawer.
I think we mostly rehearse in the OES Centre now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, we were rehearsing at Blackstaff, and we've used the 343 rehearsal spaces as well. But yeah, mostly the OES
Centre.
I record most of my music at Half Bath Studios, and just do some demos and stuff at home, mainly Half Bath.
We rehearse usually in Blackstaff Mill, actually.
More specifically, Attic Studios. We're a big fan of Attic Studios.
Yeah, the guy that runs that is great. And we were looking for our own room, that just like with the way things are at the minute, everything's kind of up in the air, as I'm sure you're aware. So, like, at the minute, we're just paying for practice as we practice. You know,
anywhere that suits.
The odd time in the OEA, but usually with Attic Studios.
As a whole, the local music scene is really flourishing now. I think that it's taken something like a pandemic to bring it to that place, if I'm being really honest. I think that in all local music scenes all over the world, you will have the sort of like the feistiness that is between a family who lives together. It's kind of like that, I feel, but even that has gotten less and less, and it will continue to get less and less. I think that everybody has a lot of empathy and compassion for each other now, which maybe was not as present before. I feel anyway, but I think that my view on the music scene will be slightly different to everyone's, of course. I would play a lot of gigs in Germany and overseas, so to be honest, I've always felt kind of like outside the music scene in a weird way, and always kind of looking in. So I'm happy to be, to not have so many gigs right now and feel part of it again.
I think the local music scene it's great. It's gonna take a wee while to recover from COVID, I think. I think it's a perfect time to invest from like a government perspective in local music. I know the Arts Council have done quite a lot over COVID for a lot of bands and musicians.
Yeah, the local music scene here, a part of it is very lovely and caring and supportive, and we do have we've put together some like community projects where people get involved, and it's really nice.
Other parts of the music scene have been interesting, have been toxic, have been unacceptable. That happens with any pocket of anything, where there's going to be parts of it that are unsafe, are uncouth, and are not acceptable. But I think as much as like there has been a lot of bad stuff happening recently, I feel like for the first time there's conversations happening. There's a potential for growth, for the scene to be a better place for everyone.
We love the local music scene.
We do.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. Everyone just loves playing together, and there's no sense of competition. It's just everyone encouraging each other to make music, and everyone always goes to each other's gigs, which is really lovely. So there's always like a really, inspiring, like sort of
like a sense of camaraderie kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly, which is like always really encouraging when you're playing,
Yeah. And what's great about like the kind of local gig scene as well is when people are kind of curating gigs, there's not a focus so much on making sure that everyone's like playing the same genre of music. Like you can have a folk artist playing alongside a punk band and then a DJ set after, and it's just more about like wanting to kind of lift each other up and show off the local talents.
Mm-hmm.
What do we think of the local music
I think
scene?
plenty of things about the local music scene.
It's good and bad.
Yeah, it's like any, well, obviously apart from the structure aspect, it's like any local music scene. There's good people and bad people in it. You have to sort of have to keep an eye out for them. But I think everybody's operating from the same perspective of wanting to write good music and play live music, because that's what it comes down to. And anybody who doesn't operate from that like standpoint, they're found out quite quickly.
Yeah.
Because yeah.
But there's an obvious there is a love for it here. You know what I mean? It's just like trying to cultivate that.
Trying to monetize it.
Yeah.
Trying to monetize it. Rip everybody off.
I think the scene has grown and changed quite a lot since we started. I mean, I was never in the scene before I joined Problem Patterns. I didn't really have an interest in going, because I've said this before and I'll probably get cancelled in the future for it, but I don't want to see four lads in a band. It just doesn't, it's not for me, it's just not my thing. And there was a lot of just four lads in a band, and it just didn't draw me out of my house. But now there's so many more diverse voices and so many more interesting people, and I'm not saying four lads in a band isn't interesting. If that's your bag,
We love drum drawers.
Yeah, we love drum drawers, they're the best. But for me, I think over the last 3 or 4 years, the scene is just diversified. There's still a hell of a lot of work to do, but the groundwork's happening, and I think it's a really good thing. And it's getting me out to gigs, which wasn't happening before.
Yeah, I mean, even just compared to a few years ago, obviously there's still kind of amongst certain people like competitiveness about like who's on this list, who's gotten in this magazine, that kind of stuff. But I think for the most part, it's become a lot more supportive of each other. Like there's a much stronger community within that. Like it is a love fest between a few of us, and we do love going to each other's shows, and we do love like collaborating with each other and putting each other on like lineups and compilations, and like covering each other, and it's just like a lot more positive in that way.
I'm dragging our non-musical friends out to see these local bands. I'm like, you will support your local music scene.
You do love Joe Parkin.
I will pick you up at your house and bring you to support your local music scene.
I think seeing the group's been amazing. It's like you're seeing like all these new acts coming through, and like they're all, the confidence that they have's amazing.
Yeah.
And like they're taking the ball and running with it.
Absolutely. And one thing I've definitely noticed about like the scene as we've been in it, is that there is like such a big push to have like more diverse people playing music. So more people of colour, like more women, more non-binary and trans people. There's just a real focus on like kind of platforming marginalised voices, as well as like 4 dudes in a band, I guess.
You have the likes of Scratch My Progress that we were on, always bringing in like a really eclectic mix of people every year, like brand new onto the scene.
Yeah.
And they're always welcomed like with open arms sort of thing, so
yeah,
it's definitely pushing in the right direction.
Hasn't really grown. No, sort of fizzled out actually. I think we got in on it like when it was sort of dying.
Yeah, there's it's like sparks, you know.
Wait, no, start again.
No, but
that was too
true,
negative.
But that's true though. It's true. Like there's so much division in the local scene. Whether it's right or wrong, it doesn't. It still results in the scene being absolutely polarized.
I think because COVID and then like a few like controversies happened. Yeah. And now that the scene's starting up, it's like people are like it's like murky, like it's really strange.
A lot of people are second guessing each other and the likes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I'm optimistic about it.
I think yes and no. It's easy to make it in Northern Ireland. I think yes, obviously, because it's such a small place and you can become well known. At the same time, no, because I feel like we're very distanced from the rest of the UK over here, which is the reason why a lot of artists would look to move into London or whatever to make it, or whatever make it means, you know. And that's my next thing. What does make it mean, you know? And I've battled with the meaning of making it over the last 3, 4, 5 years. My definition of making it has definitely changed over those years. So I suppose it depends on what making it means to you. Making it to me is feeling extreme amounts of happiness in what you're doing. Whether that be sitting around a campfire with 8 people, or whether that be to an audience of 3,000 people.
I would say it probably depends on your definition of making it. I would say, like I would personally just love to, I'm not quite at the stage yet where I don't have to do any other work apart from making music, but like I think I would love to get to that stage where I can just make music with freely, play, and get paid for it. I'm not sure if that's easier to do in Northern Ireland or harder. It's a small scene that probably has its benefits and its negatives. I'd say probably more benefits.
In terms of like making it onto the like international music scene, or even like the UK overall, I don't know if it's necessarily like makes it easier. I think like it could have been at one point, because it was maybe a novelty, like when bands like Snow Patrol were first coming up, because there weren't that many bands from Northern Ireland like in the mainstream, and Two Door Cinema Club and all, and maybe that novelty's worn off. But at the same time, I think, you know, especially what we were talking about earlier about the environment here and the history, I think that's always going to be like a relevant voice internationally. Yeah. In terms of Northern Irish music, so but I think it is getting easier to like break internationally, just because of like even just like online usage and stuff like that. You know, it's making it quite easy.
Having access to social media and like kind of having your music online makes it a lot easier to reach that audience that we can't just like hop on a flight and go and play to, which is nice.
And you even think about like, because we would have Spotify for artists and things like that, even though we're not big fans of Spotify for certain reasons. But it's wild even logging into that and seeing where people are listening to you. Like, we had like a big amount of people listening to us in Georgia
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. It's good to know that we appeal to Georgian people.
Yeah.
In terms of making it in Northern Ireland, I think it's a lot, not easier, but I think you can make a bigger splash here in terms of, especially if you are something a little different. Because I know, like, especially when we were doing our first show, like, there wasn't, like, a four-piece feminist punk band at all. Like, it's never, like, you could look through the musical history, and as far as we know, there hasn't been one. So I think for us, we're obviously getting a very niche spot here, but I think, like, you know, compared to if you went to London, where there's a lot more of, like, that DIY feminist punk scene, a lot more of those bands, which is great. There's brilliant bands from there, but, like, it's a bit harder to get people's attention when, you know, you're kind of one of 10, even though they're all saying just as important things.
The good thing about being in Northern Ireland is there's not as much saturation, you know. Like, I can imagine
small pond.
Yeah, I can imagine, like, if you go over to like, you know, London or something, there's gonna be, like, really, like, sick bands that have been going for a while and everybody knows them and loves them, and, like, breaking into that would be harder than here, because
there isn't.
We're like a smaller community here. So, like, if I turn around to these guys and was like, yo, I just caught this band and it blew my mind, it was sick, you should come and see them, they're gonna be like, sweet, you know, because there's not 100 other sick bands that blew my mind, you know what I mean?
There's a couple of very rewarding gigs that I've done. Glastonbury Festival, that was a rewarding one, purely because of the prestige of the festival, I think, and it just felt so surreal. I felt like I was in a dream backstage, this massive backstage, and we were really, really lucky. We slotted in into this slot in the middle of the day on one of the big stages, because an artist couldn't make it. And so the acoustic stage, the capacity of the tent is like 7,000, and we came in, got led to our dressing room. You know, there's a big fridge with my name on it, and that's one moment that you say, I think that I've made it. And another special one was Cambridge Folk Festival. I brought all of my CDs with me and I sold everything at that festival. There was a big long queue after my gig, and to be honest, I felt like the actual gig didn't go so well. There were a couple of technical mishaps, and so after the gig I felt like, you know, a little bit uneasy because of that. And then it was like the complete opposite aftermath. It was very bizarre. So I sold all my CDs and I got to sign this little girl's guitar, and she told me that she wanted to play music in the future, and just to know that you can be a little pillar for someone in their life, even at that age, you know. So that was another one among many great moments so far.
That was up there, but I'm actually going to talk about the one where we played our friend's birthday, and she came up on stage with her daughter and sang one of her songs, Gal Pals. And they knew all the words. They weren't like looking at their phones, and all the words off by heart, and it was just amazing to, like, honestly be you and karaoke band. So shout out Dolores and Elspeth for that.
Yes, Dolores and Elspeth. I'll say their names.
My most rewarding gig was probably an old gig that my old band Sargagaz did in McHugh's, and it was very sweaty, and it was great. It's one of the reasons McHugh's my favourite venue to gig in, just because that intimacy. It's had a great time, and played guitar behind my head and with the beer bottle. So
the EP launch was like quite, like, I don't know, it propelled us in some way, if you know what I mean. We all, once we seen the response that we got basically at the EP launch, we were all like really buzzed about it, you know. And
this
we
is
were
worth it.
This is awesome, this is worth it. People have listened to the songs that we wrote and have sang them back to us, you know, in no time. Like, it means a lot that people come out to every show and, you know, chat to us as mates and see us as a band that they like, you know. It means a lot.
Yeah, and the Speakeasy gig was just nice to be back after COVID, and just like,
yeah, it was such a shock.
Yeah,
I mean,
see everyone again.
The fact that they all still cared after all this time.
I mean, I've said it a bunch of times, like, but I remember looking out the door, and it was like a queue of people down the road. And I was thinking, surely that's for downstairs.
Yeah.
And Ben was like, no, it came for us.
Yeah.
So that was
very good.
That was with Sky Atlas that obviously a lot of guys up here don't know, you know.
Yes.
So, like I personally was kind of concerned because we were putting that gig on with Sky Atlas, and I was like,
they're a Dublin band.
yeah, they're from Dublin, so and they're so good that we didn't want to bring them up here, and like, you know, 20 people are there, and then we're like, thanks so much for playing with us, guys. Here's £5, you know. Hopefully get one down in Dublin with you. But like it did go so well, you know.
It was amazing. People went better.
People who spoke to me after it and been like, that band Sky Atlas is sick, and that's what I was saying earlier. You need that kind of like camaraderie, you know. You need that togetherness, so that you can put on a really good show and people will come to it, you know.
What makes the local music scene what it is? I would say connection. It's not always visible because, again, it's something that we take for granted on such a small island, but there's so much connection, and there's a lot of love now. There's a lot of love, so I would say connection.
There's so much that makes it unique. I think obviously, as we mentioned, just how supportive everyone is of each other is like a major aspect of it.
Yeah. And also, I guess, like for my own personal experience, like the queerness of the music scene is wonderful. Like it makes it so much more welcoming, and it's about like finding your people and like finding that place that you can like express yourself as well.
Definitely. And it's so eclectic as well, I suppose, like just no band sounds like another band, which is really nice and refreshing.
Yeah.
Even though bands have been mixed up and stuff like that in the past. I mean, we've been mixed up with problem patterns, even though like we genuinely don't even sound anything alike.
No, and we all look entirely
completely different. Also, there's 3 of us.
I would define the local music scene as a great blend of characters, making lots of different music, all different styles, all different genres. There's probably some work needs to be done in terms of inclusivity. I know there's a lot of people would have their sort of disputes over things that have gone on over recent years, and I think an effort needs to be made to really help people feel safe in a lot of venues and things. But overall, I would say it's going a good direction, and it's an interesting scene to be involved with.
Just like really divided. It's true though. It's just true. Like I can
niche.
say, yeah, niche. Yeah,
niche.
And how divided it is. But like it's true. We can sit here and go, everything's amazing. But it's not. It kind of sucks to be a local band in Belfast. A lot of the time.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Cut it out if you want, like, but it's true. It's true. It's true. I mean, we'd be way happier if we were in a place like London. We just would be.
We should just move on.
I've got a girlfriend.
Yeah. Bring her, man. Bring her. She can stay in my place. I'll try and think of like a thing as well.
Put everything in. That was great.
Absolutely. I can see Belfast being a very prestigious city for music. You know, even now after getting the UNESCO city of music, that's a great thing. I think as long as we take that and nurture that and make that happen, then it will happen. But I hope that we don't just take the title of that and we don't water that flower and let it grow, you know.
I definitely think Northern Ireland is already considered one of the best scenes, to be honest. I think there's been like a massive appreciation for it, like particularly within the last year. Like it's actually finally getting recognition as like, oh, this is like a really big hub for music. And it's thanks to places like the OES Centre and, you know, just the ability to host like any style of music and like allowing for that creativity to like flourish here, you know.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And getting the UNESCO City of Music.
That's right, I forgot about that. Yeah.
And the same for Array Studios getting like the Turner Prize. It's just like overall Northern Ireland's just like, it's a hub like for culture in general.
100%.
It is. It's really good place to be based at the minute, I think, creatively, because, you know, people talk about like, oh, better go to London, make it big, or like, you know, if we want our music hub, we need to go there. But I honestly think you're just as, you know, good staying here.
I think Belfast is one of the best scenes in the UK. I mean, I think we don't get the credit we deserve. I mean, I think it takes a trip to go over to, not to badmouth any other cities in the UK, but I think we don't get represented enough in compared to England, Scotland, Wales. And I think there's like, once you go over to some of those cities, you actually, and then come back, you actually see how much talent there is in absolutely all styles of music. And it would be nice to get some more recognition in Northern Ireland, but that's what Belfast has always been, really.
My mate Rory, right, has this band called Lemonade Shoelace, and like Vans, obviously like international company, have sort of like taken him, and like because he won a battle of the bands, and they've like gave him loads of stuff, promotion, international tour and stuff like that. That could happen to, he deserves it, but there are like a handful of other acts as well. If that happened to like a bunch of acts, that could like really strongly establish a scene here, like a sort of like, as I say, like just someone having your back, like a bit of
support,
structure or something.
Yeah, we do need a wee bit more than say somewhere like Liverpool or Glasgow or London. We just do need a wee bit because of our location, because of we're geographically separated so severely from the rest of the UK, even Dublin. So
yeah,
we do need a wee bit of help.
But the fact that it's so hard in Belfast, I think, also breeds creativity. You know, the fact that it's so hard to do anything here means that you have to force yourself to be good at what you do, which I quite like.
It's really like grassroots, like it is just you, like no one, like there isn't really an industry. There's just like a few people doing things, because like when the music industry was like forming, obviously here like everyone was trying to pull each other up, so there is no industry really. Where you go even to Dublin, like Universal have an office there, like there's people, there's like a structure.
Well, that's go ahead.
No, you go.
But that's a shame, because like there's so many good bands here. Like even I think it was Matt who went to England, and I think he mentioned that the bands that he saw were grand, but they weren't like.
They didn't blow me away.
Didn't blow you away, as you might imagine, given the musical heritage of a city like Liverpool or somewhere like that. And it is a crying shame that there's no sort of structure that we can work through, or any band can work through, because there are some great bands here, you know.
Yeah, I think that when you can see the hurdles, but you can see the finish line, you're gonna jump over the hurdles, aren't you? It's you know, it's exactly that. Let the lack of motivation be your motivation, and you've done one on the universe.
The kind of rallying together has helped. Like we ended up getting on to Scratch My Progress at the time that the pandemic started, and that was a real help to just be like meeting with other musicians and people from the music scene every week, and like kind of being reminded about like all the other things that we can be doing when we're not making music.
Yeah, it's really good motivation to have that.
Definitely,
doing that, I think all artists across the world are feeling it, you know.
The motivation to want to just get out and do it yourself and like kind of make music, because the like facilities and the tools are there now that you don't necessarily need a lot of money behind you to like make things. So like, yeah, I think in that sense, the motivation is there to just kind of like go out and do it yourself.
I would say my biggest challenge is probably just with myself. It's just keeping the confidence to push myself musically, and knowing when it's the right time to record something, whether it's the right time to release something, not overthinking it, and not spending lots of time going back on myself. It's a fine line, knowing the right time. I think I can improve, get better at that.
I think when you start off with something like music was always my best friend, my passion, and then it translated into my career, and then I got music management and booking agency and PR team and all these people around me, and then suddenly it changes from your passion to your job, and then you find yourself making decisions based on money or based on things like that, and yes, that's technically fine because it's your job, but to remember that it's your passion. It was your passion at the start, and sometimes to turn down things that you don't think serve you, serve your heart, serve your soul. I think that's an important thing, but I think I'm going to be learning this one for my whole life.
Yeah, so I think like definitely the way that we kind of, I guess, overcome that sort of like backlash is just by like laughing about it and not taking it too seriously. And yeah, I think as well one of our challenges has been stage nerves. I definitely notice a difference in like how well I can perform and like how well I can like be myself on stage and interact with the crowd. Like the difference between a nervous me and like a comfortable me is just like miles apart. And I don't really know that. I think the only way to kind of get over that is to like keep playing.
Yeah, I think it's a big thing as well. Like I think it shows that we're doing it right if we are nervous, because obviously we care about how it sounds and how it's perceived. And I think even saying that with like the messages we get, we're doing something right by getting those messages. Because a lot of our stuff is, you know, targeting misogyny and like, you know, wanting to do away with that mindset. So if we have people complaining that we are doing that, it's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, so
If you want to start a band, just do it.
Yeah, my advice personally would be it doesn't matter how old you are, because I was 32 when we started Problem Patterns, and it's my first proper band, and it's just been the best time. And for a lot of those years I was like, you know, oh, I'm not good enough to do it, or like, especially when you get to your mid-20s, you're like, what's the point? Then nothing's ever going to happen, and then you just meet the right people, and it works.
I think the best advice you can give to someone who wants to get into music and like start their own band is probably just to not worry about it and just do it.
Yeah.
Because I think like a lot of people have these like ideas in their head that like I don't know, what's the point if we're not going to be like successful, or sure, I'm not very musical or something like that. But I mean, we weren't the most musical people.
I'm still not.
I'm sure you don't mind me saying that. Like whenever we started out, and like I think it doesn't matter, like as long as you're passionate about it and you like love music and you want to like make your own music, like there's nothing stopping you. Because every avenue of life is competitive now, so why not go try music, you know?
Yeah, and like the creative expression in itself is like what it's about. So when you like, and it's important to kind of like remind yourself of that when you are making music or making anything really, is that like it's not about kind of the, as much as it's nice to kind of like see your career kind of progress and stuff, the like creation of art is what it's kind of about. It's cheesy as that.
It's true.
My advice for somebody who wanted to start a band in Belfast would be to just do it. You know, like I would say I struggle a lot with, you know, self-confidence, and you just have to try and power through it, you know. Get to know lots of people on the scene. They're really nice, and like nobody's gonna say anything to you, you know. It's just a lot of encouragement, and it'll be worth it.
Start a band and do it with your mates that you get along with really well. Because that's the good thing about us is like we all take the mick out of each other and we all have a laugh, and like we all, you know, it's, I don't know, you're not like embarrassed to do anything.
Yeah. We're a bad band to ask because we hit the jackpot straight out of the gate, because we all found each other like that.
And we all clicked well.
Yeah, but that's not the case with the vast majority of groups, because, you know, sometimes the drummer doesn't want to do it, or sometimes the guitar player just doesn't care. So you have to wade through all the, you know, the disinterest, mediocrity of it all, and eventually you'll find something that's worthwhile. Keep it.
Yeah. Do it with people you like. And you'll do well.
Yeah. The rest of it just kind of comes from being with the people that you like.
I'd say also try and like study or move to like the nearest big city, young-ish or whatever it is. But like if I was still in arts,
like it's like I'm from Bent from arts, and like we'd have never met if it wasn't for going to Belfast Met and, you know, going to the city to play music, you know. So like it's worked out well for us, basically.
The thing that will always stop you doing what you love is your own fear, always, no matter what it is, music or anything in life. And I think if you don't just start and give it a go, then you'll never know. You'll never know what you can create or what you can be, or you know, you might be surprised at your ability. So I would just say, you know, look fear in the face and do it anyway.
God's